Without further ado, I want to bring in our panel. Susan Crabtree, investigative and national political reporter for Real Clear Politics. My old colleague at Newsmax, Hayley Coronia, who is the host of the Nightly Scroll, and our good buddy Rob Bluey over there at the Daily Signal, the president and executive editor. Guys, I've done a lot of shows. This one's the heaviest. So let's just start. Rob, thoughts on Charlie?
Sean, thanks for showing up and doing the show. This is incredibly difficult for those of us who work in media and had a relationship or connection to Charlie or Turning Point USA, as I think so many in the conservative movement did. That is the incredible thing about Charlie Kirk. You're hearing all of these stories about, from Vice President J.D. Vance to my own colleague, Bradley Devlin, who wrote a touching tribute to him. And the personal outreach that Charlie made to these individuals is just incredible. Where he found the time, among all of the other things that he was responsible for doing, to cultivate these personal relationships. And I'm talking about with interns or college students, who otherwise, might just be an afterthought for most people. Charlie Kirk developed a meaningful relationship with them. And I think that goes back to his belief in Christianity and strong devotion to Jesus and the lessons that he obviously learned through his faith. But yes, deeply missed. He will leave a great legacy behind with Turning Point USA, and prayers go out to his wife, Erica, and his 2 children, certainly today.
Hayley, I don't think people who aren't in the movement or on the right or cover the right appreciate that it's not just about Charlie. It's about a movement that he led. We all commentate. We all are pundits or reporters or cover this. And there's plenty of those people on the right and the left. Your sort of founder there, Dan Bongino, was a great voice. Tucker's a great voice. Rush was a great voice. And Giants. I mean, like, I'm not, but there's a difference that they got out there every day. And I wouldn't be where I am today without Rush Limbaugh. I mean, he's just the thoughts that he put in my head, the ability to articulate messages. But what Charlie did was lead and create, not just lead, he created a movement that grew bigger and bigger every year. And I just don't know that people fully appreciate that.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk was a force to be reckoned with, and I can't believe that we're talking about him in the past tense. It doesn't feel real. And as someone who maybe emailed with him back and forth a few times, I wasn't lucky enough to have that close relationship that a lot of other people in the media have with Charlie. But I know what an amazing person he is, because it was impossible to not know the amazing person that Charlie is. He was a man of God, a husband, a father, but he was also this father figure to so many young people in this movement. He put on events with hundreds of thousands of kids, high school age, college age, and even older. And I made this point yesterday. He kind of bridged this gap. It wasn't just the conservative party that people knew of, where it was the, your mother's, your father's Republican Party. He kind of bridged that gap and made it this cohesive movement and brought in Gen Z and millennials with him. What he did was nothing short of amazing. And we have Charlie Kirk to thank for President Trump being in the White House today.
Susan, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are basically you see that his murder has sort of empowered all of us. It puts the power of his message in all of us now. And it is a turning point. I was on Charlie Kirk's podcast several times, ironically, to discuss the assassination attempts against President Trump. I wouldn't say I knew him, unlike Gavin Newsom, who posted that he knew him. I didn't know him. I was not lucky enough, as Hayley said, to know him. But he did reach out to me. He was relentless in reaching out to people. He even reached out to me and invited me, asked for my phone number, invited me to a conference that I regret that I wasn't able to attend because of my book. But I will tell you this about Charlie Kirk. He is relentless in his pursuit of the truth. There are a lot of influencers, MAGA influencers, that have shied away from some of my reporting on the Secret Service because it has continued to unearth negative aspects of the Secret Service ability to lead us forward and protect Donald Trump, even though it's now under leadership of that Donald Trump had selected, he had continued to elevate my stories. He would repost my stories. He would post my stories on Charlie Kirk's news. And I just think that's a testament to his just avid pursuit of the truth and his desire to protect Donald Trump and reform government agencies that desperately need reform. And he didn't play favorites. I just think that he was just this incredible force to be reckoned with. And I am trying to reconcile my nephews were so impacted by his message. They were forced to universities, private universities, not public universities, that my sister was paying for. This has happened to so many, where they had to write essays and read books that were self-loathing for white men, white boys growing up. And he became a voice for them and was incredibly influential in their lives. And I always thank Charlie for that power that he gave them. But I just think we need to, what I'm trying to reconcile with, and maybe you feel this too, Sean, is this sort of anger and love, right? He had he wanted to embrace other voices. He wasn't afraid to bring the fight to college campuses, the belly of the beast. So I went to my church last night, and they had what I would consider a vigil for Charlie Kirk. And this is the message I took out of it. And I'll read from scripture, 1 Corinthians 16:13-14. Be on your guard, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong, and let all that you do be done in love. And I think that's a testament to Charlie Kirk's approach, that he was always smiling when he was taking on his opponents, and he embraced the idea of civil discourse in our society, which can't get lost. We have to be righteously angry and do what we're doing with love, always.
So I want to pick up on that. I'm sad for Charlie and for his family. But as I said, I'm pissed. Because this idea, and I had a long conversation on the morning meeting with Dan and Mark and some of the viewers. This idea that it's both sides and equivalent is just BS. It's not. I mean, Susan, to your point, the left controls every major outlet: academia, Hollywood, big tech, media. When the right does something, it's a massive outrage. To your point about your kids, your nephews, we were told to write essays about our white privilege, and we had to denounce it. And if we didn't use pronouns, we were wrong. Hollywood, won't cast anyone on the right if they're of faith or believes in our side. Businesses would fire people if they found out you voted for Donald Trump. Rob Bluey, I'm sorry, this isn't the same. This is not the same. They're trying to take out leaders of a movement because they want to stop it. And it's not the same. I get it. I don't think violence is ever acceptable. I'm outraged that somebody tried to break into Nancy Pelosi's house and hurt her husband. I'm sorry that Josh Shapiro had somebody go at his house. Not just sorry. It's wrong. Gretchen Whitmer being attacked. Wrong. But that's not the same. This is decades long of silencing and censoring conservatives because they dare have a different of opinion. And if we don't agree with this is the big difference. I've traveled college campuses, Rob, and I've been told, here's the security detail that you get. Here are the threats that you face. Here's what they're allowed to do to you before we intervene. That's not the same as what goes on the left, Rob. And all these guys on the left who want to say, well, just take the temperature down. I'm sorry. But this is not the same.
It's not the same, Sean. Thank you for pointing that out so articulately there. I would also note that this is not something that just happened overnight. It's years in the making. And what you see as pollsters, survey college students, number one, they don't understand that there can be civil discourse or free speech. They think that it's okay to react violently. They say this. They tell pollsters this. I don't know whether it's a right versus left thing, although you tend to see this reaction more viscerally on the left. And I think that the fact that you had, even in the wake of Charlie's death yesterday, people immediately referring to him as a divisive figure who spread conspiracy theories. I mean, I couldn't believe that these are their instant reactions to a great man like Charlie Kirk. on so many of these outlets, these legacy media outlets. It was appalling to me. And I want to pick up on something that Susan said, because I think that this is one thing that maybe, again, is not getting nearly the attention. Susan, we saw in Washington, D.C. and communities across the country have church vigils last night. Can you imagine? I mean, what type of a figure other than Charlie Kirk would inspire people instantaneously to come together in a setting like that and pray? And Sean, you're absolutely right. We can't resort to violence. We must condemn violence, even when it takes place among people on the right. But this is more than I think people might necessarily realize. I truly believe that the left sees this as a war against conservatives, and they are not intent to stop with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We all need to be fearful. We need to be steadfast. But yes, you articulated it well there, Sean, that this is not nearly the end, and it's something that we need to be mindful of going forward.
Haley, I know you when you and I used to work together, you lived in New York City, and I tried to make this point to people this morning. If Hayley Coronia walked down the street in New York City with a Make America Great hat, as amazing of a person as you were or are, I guarantee you people would snide comments. But if you walked down that same street with an Obama or a Biden hat, they probably would have pat you on the back. I mean, I just don't think that the media and the folks on the left appreciate the censorship, the canceling, the oppression of thought, like that people on the right who have supported this, deal with and have dealt with, to the point it's not just yesterday this happened or 5 days ago. This is systemic.
Yeah, what's really disgusting, and you made a great point, Sean, about the difference between the political violence that we see on the left and the right. And you made this great point about how it seems to be not even, right? We're seeing a lot of attacks on the right by the left. They're political in nature. The difference is when we see something happen to Gretchen Whitmer, when we see something happen to Nancy Pelosi, when we see something happen to leftists, when we see Governor Josh Shapiro's house be burnt down, right? The right comes out and says this is wrong because it is. The right always points this out and says political violence is wrong. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, center. This is wrong. This shouldn't happen to you. When it happens to us, the left celebrates. The left revels in it. And I think we've seen this, like we said, over a long time, but it started with Hillary Clinton casting us aside as this basket of deplorables. Joe Biden, a sitting president, called us garbage. A sitting president, Joe Biden, said, if you didn't get the vaccine, I think that you should be prepared for a severe winter of illness and death. We see people at the very, very tippy top of the Democrat Party calling for us to die. So this is no surprise. And then we see people on social media. They're posting on Blue Sky lists of people who they want to be next. I saw Candace Owens, who's a great friend of Charlie Kirk, post, before he passed away, please pray for him. There were sickos in that comment section saying, we're praying that you're next. This is a battle between good and evil, and I don't even know how we root out this kind of evil.
Susan, the thing that to the point about the headlines about Charlie, conservative activists or whatever, as I mentioned, like just as an example, on the left, there's, let's say, AOC, Rachel Maddow, and I, okay, who cares? Like 5 other people. On the right, there are amazing voices: Glenn Beck, Tucker Carlson, big ones, right? Okay, those are influencers and activists. What Charlie did at his core was say, I want to have a dialogue. I don't want to cancel you. I don't want to censor you. In fact, it's the opposite. I invite you to come talk to me. This is the exact opposite of what the left is doing. He's not standing on a hilltop and saying, and there's plenty of them on both sides. And I mean, like, we have ours, they have theirs. God bless them. It's a free country. I love it. Right. But that's not what Charlie was. When they say that conservative right-wing pundit MAGA, that's not actually true. He was a guy that at his core said, come talk to me, have a dialogue with me. He invited it. He didn't cancel it. And that's what's being missed right now, is that they want to paint him as some MAGA influencer pundit. But the opposite of what he was fighting for, which was to say, let's have that battle of ideas in a civil, respectful way. I want you. He's literally at that college campus with a microphone. Tell me where I'm wrong.
And that will be his legacy that we all have to live up to. I think that it is just, we're not conservatives. As you and I are a little bit older, we won't talk exactly about when we met, how many decades ago that was, Sean, but we didn't have as many conservative voices out there in the mainstream media. It was even pre-Fox when we started, Sean.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, you had to be submissive in the media if you wanted your job. And I have had experiences in the White House press corps where the White House press corps president has told me when I said, I'm stuck at an event and I can't get to my Bible study. And I mentioned my Bible study is kind of like a wine drinking group, trying to make light of it. It's funny. We're a wine group with a Bible study program. I was making light of it. I have had individuals tell me, why are you believing that? And it's like Santa Claus. These are people, influential people. They would never say that to anybody like if they were Jewish or Muslim, but they can attack Christians. And I think that's why this sad event yesterday is going to be a clarion call, a sea change for all conservatives who have been trying to operate in the mainstream media for many, many years to say, we will not back down anymore. We have a civil discourse and we will respectfully provide our views and we will not back down. I think this is empowering individuals. And it's so interesting to me, there are fringe people on both sides that say horrible things on social media. You have to, and I'm thankful to the leadership of MSNBC that Matthew Dowd got fired yesterday. I believe Katie Tursch should also have been fired. And I'm just saying that apologizing for them is not enough. It's not enough. It would have been a hollow act if they hadn't fired Matthew Dowd from the contributorship. So thankfully, the pressure is on now. The dynamic is changing. You have Barack Obama and Gavin Newsom stop his smirking for 1/2 a second and recognize that Charlie Kirk was a person who facilitated political discussion and that he appreciated what he brought to the conversation. He was not friends with Charlie Kirk. He did not know Charlie Kirk. I took exception to that. I did not know Charlie Kirk. I had several podcast experiences with him, and so did Gavin Newsom. But how about that conversation? Charlie Kirk was the only one who pressed him on the big issues of the day and has been able to get real answers out of him and a shift in position. And so we don't do that by backing away from the political discussion. We are in for the fight. We will put on the armor of God, and we may be pierced. We may even die for our cause like Charlie Kirk did, but we will not back down anymore. And this is what his legacy is all about. And this is what we all have to live up to with his death and his untimely death. But I think it will lead a movement. He's been leading a movement. I think the movement will only grow.
It's funny you say that about what we need to do and what they do. Charlie talked about the core of the left and the core of liberals. I want to play you this because this to me is like unbelievably prophetic. Take a look.
At the core of the left, at the core of a liberal, is someone that would use the sword if they had it. They are very violent people at their core. They always have been. They can't debate. They can't have conversation. So they'll resort to these tactics. They're going to do everything they possibly can to try to murder this movement because they can't beat us. So they're going to try to take weapons. And no, we're very aware of that. I'm aware of it. We have to have full-time security. This is not a joke. This is who these people are.
Rob, it actually gave me chills when I saw that video.
Yeah, it certainly does. Charlie Kirk understood, and I think so many leaders, people who have a voice in the media. You see this with Matt Walsh at Daily Wire, right? I mean, he was also one of those individuals who they said they're coming for next. And he said he's not going to back down. He's not going to be intimidated. And you just need to take the threat seriously, because we see obviously on a daily basis that this is a challenge that we obviously are grappling with. And to pick up on something that Susan talked about, and the changes just in I think not only media consumption, but there was a period of time, even when I was coming up through journalism school and entering the media, where I think that they were content that there were a small number of conservative media outlets or personalities, and they could relegate them off to the side, and they could invite them on to shows like Crossfire once in a while and, engage in some conservative conversation. The thing that's changed is with the growth of the internet and social media is given a voice to people who otherwise would have been on the sidelines. And Charlie Kirk was a great example of that. Not only, what's amazing about Charlie Kirk is Charlie was able to convene all of these students, high school, college students, people of all walks of life. And he did that through TPUSA. And then he was also such a prolific commentator. And he obviously was a media star and was able to build his own following through social media. I think 5 million followers on X. I mean, just an incredible individual. And to Susan's point about her nephews, my own teenage son, who with his friends last night in group chats were conversing about this. Obviously, it was devastating to all of them. Would regularly see Charlie's short videos on YouTube and other platforms where they may consume media. And so it was his willingness to engage with the other side and have that debate that I think so many young people appreciated, because they were probably missing that from their classroom, where they were hearing a one-sided message. And finally, somebody like Charlie Kirk came around and was able to challenge that orthodoxy.
Rob, to your point, it was amazing. Both of my kids in their teens talked about this. Like, oh, Charlie Kirk. And both my wife and I were like, how do you know Charlie Kirk? And they go, oh, we see his videos all the time. And I'm like, wow, what that guy, I was actually shocked. To your point, I was actually shocked that they wasn't like they were looking at the news. They were like, oh, we see his clips on Instagram all the time or on social media. I was shocked in that. I want you guys all to weigh in. I want to start with you, Hayley. I mean, Susan, I think, alluded to it. Like we've got 2 elections in New Jersey and we got an election in Virginia, actually technically one in New York City, and then this Prop 50 out in California. The initial reaction that I have is, wow, people are going to get fired up and go out there and be like, we're going to have our voices heard, kind of as Susan did. Do you think that's, I mean, let's start with you, Hayley. Is that fair? I mean, do you think, not fair, but do you think it's going to happen? Do you think people are going to say, this is a call to go out there and act now?
I think so, but how disgusting and horrible is it that, we were all riled up after President Trump survived his assassination attempt. And of course, we won the White House after that, but we can't keep going down this road where the left kills someone on our side and then we get riled up. And I do think that we had that momentum regardless of that. I do think that people are going to be more motivated to have their voices heard, because they know that the First Amendment is under siege. I'm a free speech absolutist, but what we're seeing now is the left doesn't really believe in that, because they don't believe that the right should have a right to speak. So I do think that this movement has, there's a fire that has been lit under it. And I think something interesting that we've seen in recent weeks is this Irish comedian, Graham Linehan, who was arrested in Heathrow Airport for making posts on X about the transgender community. And he was arrested for that. And he posted on X yesterday, they just made 5 million Charlie Kirks. And to your point about this movement and how it is going to be going forward, I think it's going to be stronger than ever.
Susan?
Yeah, I think that a little vignette that I think is telling is that when Gavin Newsom was talking about his experience on the podcast with Charlie Kirk, he mentioned that his own son wanted to meet Charlie Kirk that day and was excited. It was a supporter of Charlie Kirk's. I mean, can you even imagine if you're governor of California and the absolute dystopia that and totalitarian policies that you've put in place your own son is taking issue with it and wants to be there when you're interviewing Charlie Kirk. I can't even fathom that as put myself in Gavin Newsom's body to think about that. But certainly that is showing just how powerful his message of free speech really is. We've all lived during, I thought I would never live. I thought it was a banana republic. I couldn't believe what I was experiencing during COVID in California, and watching the suppression of free speech and good stories. I lived through Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and the dress and all of these same reporters that were suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop were the ones going after Clinton. So what has changed for his relationship with Monica Lewinsky, specifically, one of the major people, a Yahoo reporter. So what has changed since then? Why have we gotten into this business in the United States of censorship? How have we allowed that? And I think now, because of the Elon Musk's purchase of X, because of people like Charlie Kirk, we have freedom of speech again. And, because of people like the Twitter files, like Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, and Miranda Devine on the Hunter Biden laptop, you're not going to get away with it anymore. We're going to hold your feet to the fire. We're going to speak up. I remember that my Twitter account was losing people by the thousands, like sands through the hourglass. I watched it all fall apart. I don't know. I lost like 10,000 people in one day. And I thought, no one's speaking up about this. How dare they? How seriously dare they? And this is a banana republic. We owe a debt of gratitude to Charlie Kirk and the journalists that exposed that rot that was going on in our country between the politicization of the FBI and social media platforms that have the power to tell us stories. So Charlie Kirk stood up against that and fought that tooth and nail. And now it's everybody's job. There are 5 million more Charlie Kirks out there. And it's everyone's job to fight these demons of censorship. And the truth will get out.
Yeah.
The truth will get out. Even Gavin Newsom's son is a Charlie Kirk fan.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.